There are over 500 legends from around the world that speak of a worldwide flood. Each have their own differences, but they all show similarity to the account of the worldwide flood written about in the Bible. In Genesis chapter 6, it first mentions the flood and the death of man. God decides to send a worldwide flood to end all of the evil that he saw on earth, and chose Noah and his family to create life again once the flood destroyed every living thing. Noah and his family were to build an ark to inhabit themselves and 2 of every kind of animal that they were to bring with them. In Genesis chapter 7, it says it rained for 40 days and nights, making the waters rise 20 feet above the tallest mountains, ending all life. The flood occurred so a new covenant, a promise between God and his creation, would happen. The covenant said that God would never destroy every living thing on earth again, and to let the rainbow remind us of the promise he has made. I'm here today to discuss some pieces of evidence for this worldwide flood that destroyed all of mankind. The Coconino sandstone in the Grand Canyon, polystrate fossils, and plate tectonics all show evidence of the biblical flood of Noah. The Grand Canyon is a beautiful and powerful piece of evidence for a worldwide flood occurring. The examination of the Coconino sandstone in the Grand Canyon reveals that it was formed due to a catastrophic event that happened underwater. In the layers of the large rock, trackways or footprints can be seen. Scientists have compared these footprints to those made in desert-like conditions, which led to the assumption that the Coconino sandstone trackways were also made in desert conditions. Creation scientists, however, believe the flood of Noah created the different parts of the Grand Canyon and put this desert theory to the test. Dr. Leonard Brand, a paleontologist, conducted an experiment to reveal the formation of the Coconino sandstone. Dr. Brand compared the fossilized trackways to experimental ones that were performed by amphibians. Some of the footprints made were completely submerged underwater, on moist sand, and on dry sand. The experiment led to the conclusion that the fossils that were completely submerged underwater most closely resemble those of the Coconino sandstone. The experiment also showed that all but one of the animals was in the direction of climbing uphill. It is thought that instead of the trackways being made in the desert, that they were made underwater by animals attempting to walk uphill to escape flooding waters. Glenn Vischer, a geologist, says that the average slope of the Coconino sandstone dunes are 25 degrees, while dunes in deserts today range from 30 to 34 degrees. This information also leads to the theory that the sandstone was created by the flood of Noah. The height of the sandstones are 1/5 of the water depth. From examining the height of the sandstones and concluding what the water depth should have been during the flood, we can tell that the velocity of the rising waters would have had to have been rising at 3 feet per second. This velocity does not resemble the velocity of modern tides, which leads to the conclusion that only a catastrophe, a worldwide flood, could have caused this rapid water movement that formed into the sandstone. Now that I have discussed the findings discovered in the Coconino sandstone, we can move on to the next piece of evidence for a worldwide flood. The discovery of polystrate fossils leaves evolution scientists baffled. Polystrate fossils are found in 2 or more divisions of sedimentary rock layers. To a creation scientist, this is not a strange finding. The reason evolution scientists find this confusing is because they believe each layer of the rock takes thousands or millions of years to develop. Therefore, the polystrate fossils found in multiple layers cannot be explained because whatever living thing that was fossilized would have rotted away during the time it would have taken the layers to form. Instead of believing these layers and fossils formed over a long period of time, creation scientists believe this occurred rapidly due to a catastrophic event, the flood, that made the fossilization process quicken, explaining how fossils are found in 2 or more of the rock layers. It is also described in number 5 in the handout, saying that the only explanation is a worldwide catastrophe that stripped away vast surface areas and then deposited new layers so rapidly that they had little time for erosion. Rupke, a geologist, wrote about a tree trunk that was found in Scotland that had been fossilized while slanting at a horizontal angle. The tree, also intersecting multiple of the rock layers, indicated that it had been fossilized during a catastrophic event, making the tree unable to fall completely flat, leaving it fossilized at an angle. The tree also indicated rapid fossilization due to the multiple layers it stood through. Polystrate fossils indicate the error in believing that rock layers take long periods of time to form. Massive floodwaters moving at fast paces explain the rapid fossilization of these fossils. Now that I've discussed the significance that polystrate fossils play in the evidence of the flood, I can begin to explain the next piece of evidence. The Earth that we inhabit sits on multiple plates of rock. Plate tectonics is described as the study of movement of the plates. Continental drift is a common belief today that describes the continents once being a supercontinent and eventually drifted apart. J.R. Baumgartner created a 3D simulation that portrays what he believes caused the continents to break apart and caused the worldwide flood described in the Bible. It shows a pre-flood supercontinent surrounded by the cold ocean floor waters that were denser than the mantle rock beneath it. The ocean floor suddenly cracks open and the rocks along the ocean floor begin to penetrate into the mantle rock beneath it. The stress of the ocean floor rapidly sinking causes the supercontinent to tear apart. The model then shows the mantle rock forming the new ocean floor, and it begins to vaporize large quantities of ocean water that shoot supersonic steam jets along the ocean floor all around the world. These jets are what are thought to cause the flood by rising above the sea level and then falling back down, which is thought to be the rain that lasted for 40 days and nights. In Genesis chapter 7, it states that the fountains of the great deep burst open, which caused the flood, and these supersonic steam jets are thought to be those fountains of the great deep mentioned in the Bible. When observing the ocean crust of the mid-ocean ridges, the patterns on the surface did not show slow magnetic reversals, but rather rapid magnetic reversals. If it took the continents millions of years to drift apart as evolutionists believe, its magnetic patterns would have been slow in reversal, therefore a worldwide flood would explain the rapid magnetic reversals that were found due to the rapid separation of the continents. I'll now discuss some different pieces of evidence for the account of the flood of Noah. We have looked at how evidence points to a short, rapid fossilization that occurred underwater rather than fossilization that occurs over long periods of time. The same goes for short, rapid separation of the continents rather than millions of years that cause the continents to drift apart. This all corresponds to the biblical timeline of the Earth being roughly 6,000 years old rather than hundreds of millions. Only 3% of the Earth today is habitable for mankind, and I believe that the Earth was once a more habitable place, but was destroyed by a worldwide flood because of the evil seen by our Creator. I hope that the knowledge you have gained about the study of the Coconino sandstone, the finding of polystrate fossils, and studies on plate tectonics have encouraged you to challenge the long, slow process that is thought to form our Earth, and instead focus on the rapid, fast-moving catastrophe caused by the flood of Noah that changed our world as we see it today.